Hi Samfam, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be doing the process of applying for your visa and also what my visa interview was like in Kingston, Jamaica, applying for a student visa. So if you're interested in this type of content, please continue watching, like the video, share with a friend, comment, and subscribe. Also, subscribe. So let's get into the video. So at this point in your journey, I'm going to assume that you have already applied for a school, confirm your admission, submit your proof of funding, and you have also gotten your I-20. And I'm also going to assume that you have also paid for your service fee. So we're at the process where you are going to fill out your DS160 and also apply for a visa interview at your nearest embassy/consulate. Now, for my journey, I was living in Jamaica, and so I did my visa interview in Kingston, Jamaica. So, after I did all of that, I decided to go through and apply for my visa. So, in order to apply for your visa, you need to fill out what is called a DS160. Now, I was a little bit hesitant to do it by myself just because I was worried about so many other things that could work against me. And like, I was really nervous. I was actually trying to get an immigration lawyer, everything. It's not that I've ever come to the US and like overstayed or anything, but just other factors that I was worried about. However, I never have any money if I could pay all of them money there. So I did everything by myself. So I'm just going to walk you through a couple things that were different. And this is the same form that you filled out for a regular visa interview, but for the student visa interview, for the student visa, the DS160 has a couple more stuff in it. So yeah, let's get into it. They ask you for basic things like, your name, your marital status, just all of those things that you filled out. So this is like the first part of the process. They ask you for all your social media. Now, I'm quite active on social media, and so I was really honest in this area. So I put my YouTube channel, I put my Instagram account, and all other social media that I use. So I was very open with this. um so yeah, I told them all of that. I put in my travel information, my passport, so you guys need to know these information. So I just, so like the specific part of the DS160 that is different, they'll ask you what is your purpose for the trip, and you put in, academic or language because you're studying for a student visa, and I selected that I was applying for an F1 visa. And they asked if I have any specific travel plans. I said no, and they asked me for my intended date of arrival. No, it's really best to put 2 weeks before your actual arrival date in the US, but 2 weeks before your program start date. So my program was scheduled to start this January 9th, 2023, and I put my intended arrival date in the US would have been December 26, 2022. And for this, they asked me if how long I plan to stay in the US. I put 1 year because on my I-20, my program was listed as a 1 year program. And they asked where I intended to stay in the US. Now, if you watch my previous videos, I mentioned that I was going to live with relatives, and so I put their address. And it's really best to be honest when you're filling out your DS160 because they already have everything. And even on my I-20, they put something about living on board by relatives or whatever. I don't remember the exact wording, but that's why I put my family's address. And they asked if I have any other persons traveling with me. I said no. And they asked if I've ever been to the US. I said yes, because I've traveled to the US before. And they asked me to list like my last 5 trips, which I did. I put in all that information. They asked if I ever have a US driver's license and just stuff like that that you need to know. They asked me information about my previous visa, so I put in that information and stuff. And the part that was different for me than other person was like, they asked on the visa, the DS160, if you have ever been filed for an immigration petition. In my case, it's a yes. And so usually person would say no, but in my case, I was filed for before, and so I did put yes and explain. They'll ask you the reason to explain. So just, as I'm saying, just be honest with your answers, just be open and honest, and everything should be okay. So I explained all of that. No, this part is your contact information in the US. Please, guys, if you're doing this for a study visa, you're going to put the information for your school representative. Now, on your I-20, they'll put the name of the contact person that you have in the US. So you need to use this person's information. So that's exactly what I did. I put their email, I put the name of the school, and I put the address. No, even though I'm coming to live with relatives, they are not really my contact person in the US, so you have to use your school's contact information. Yep. And then they asked me if I had any relatives living in the US, like immediate relatives. Like, honestly, most of my relatives, like immediate, were in the US, so I did put their information, and I had to be correct and be accurate and tell them the truth because they have all the information already. So I was honest. I explained that to them, and I did put that information. Now, if you don't have any immediate relatives in the US, like your parents, siblings, or so forth, then no need to put anybody's information. You don't need to put your cousin or so forth. So yeah. And then they asked me about my previous information, like work. So I put my work information where I was working, and at this time I was still employed. And so I put my work information, describe what I did and stuff, and I put my other previous information. And then I put information about my undergrad and my high school, so I also did that. And then there's a series of questions that they'll ask you. Just answer these accurately based on your circumstances. So they ask, have you visited in any other region? So I went on a cruise, and I also went to the DR for my birthday. I put those information, and just answer based on your circumstances, but be honest. And then after this, you have a security background information. Answer these accurately as possible. All my answers were no. So yeah. And then at the last section, I think they ask you for a person of contact in your own country. I don't think you can use it's like reference, but I don't think you can use that relatives. So I use a former teacher from my high school, and I use somebody who was like a mentor to me. And then the last part of the DS160 is where they'll ask you for your service ID and the information from your school. And so you can't apply for your visa unless you pay the service fee, where you'll have all of these information from. So that's why you have to follow these process. So that's exactly what I did. And basically this is what I did for my DS160, and I saved this file just to like prepare for the interview and to have it to look over. So it's exactly what I'm looking from now. And like I was looking at the date printed on this, I actually completed this on November 11, 2022. So yeah. For the DS160, you can save and go along. You'll have to save the application ID and also the security name or password, like as you go along. So that's exactly what I did. I filled out my DS160, and then after that I went to select my appointment in Kingston, Jamaica. So that's like really specific to your country that you're located in. Now if you do your application by yourself, I think like recently I heard that they were going to increase the fee, but when I did it, it was $160 US, and that was translated to about 24,000 Jamaican dollars. So that's exactly what I paid. But I'll talk about scheduling the appointment. Well, this is really about scheduling the appointment. You'll go on the website, you'll need the application ID from your DS160, and you'll fill it out, and then you'll pay the fee. And I have some papers here that I saved. So you'll have like a receipt that you get to save. So I had this. It's basically official US Department Visa Appointment Service Jamaica, and it's a paid for US readable machine visa application fee, 24,000 Jamaican dollars. and they tell you the equivalent in US, and I put my name and so forth. So yeah, that's that. And then I also save this instruction sheet with the information that they had on it, with my passport information, passport number, my DS application fee number, and so forth, and the type of visa and all of those things. So yeah, so let's talk about my visa interview now. Visa interview. I just need to bring up one thing with the list of what I took to my visa interview. So yeah. So at this point, you have filled out your DS160, and you have also scheduled your visa appointment. Now you're going to be preparing for the interview. Now guys, this visa interview is very, very important. You are applying for a visa, you're applying for a non-immigrant visa. Now everything that you say in this interview needs to tie back to what you have in your DS160, but your answers also need to tie back to coming back to your home country, because they are going to issue the visa thinking that you're planning to return home after you're finished studying. So every answer that you give them, you should tie it in. Why are you going to study in the US? Because you want to improve your knowledge of returning to your country to help in XYZ sector. Every answer should be something tying back to your home country, so they know that you're not going to their country to overstay, to run off, or whatever. So yeah. So I wrote down a list of the stuff that I needed to take to my interview, and on my list I wrote down to take acceptance letter from the school. I took the bank statement that I used to show for my proof of funding. I also took a copy of my transcript and degree. I also took my previous pay slips from my job, like I think it was like the last 3 months. Yeah. I took a copy of my resume. I took a letter from my sponsor, the person who showed the additional funding that I needed. I took the proof of payment of my service fee. I took the confirmation page of my DS160, which is actually this. Let me show you guys. This is very important. I never said it before, but like very, 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 very important. Your DS160, the confirmation page, you need to save it after you have finished filling out the DS160, because you actually need to take this to your visa interview. So yeah, the confirmation page of your DS160, I took my I-20, my passport, also my current passport. I don't think it had in my visiting visa, so I also took my both of my passports are together, so I automatically had it. Yeah, but when I got to the interview, they actually never wanted me to carry that in, but that's a different day. Proof of payment for visa and instruction, and I took the passport size pictures. So yeah. Also guys, I never said this before, but when you take a couple passport size pictures and they have the specifications, because you'll need to upload it when you're finished filling out the DS160. So yeah. So I took those stuff to my visa interview. Some are more important than some. Like for instance, I never really needed to take my resume, pay slips, letter from sponsor. I just needed like my passport, the DS confirmation, and those stuff. So that's exactly what I took. Now my visa interview, I think initially, I don't remember what date I got. I think I got December 9th. Let's see. Let's look at the calendar. I think I initially got December 9th for my visa interview, and then I changed it to December 2nd. I think I changed it to 1 week earlier. So yeah, my visa interview was actually the 2nd of December 2022. Now this was so close to my travel date, like everything after this point it just seemed rushed. Me did have to wait till me get seminar, so me get the visa to tell my friend, my family, everything after this it just rushed. Me telling you say from June to December, that's like approximately 6 months it took me for this entire process. And then after, because I took so long some of the schools took long to get back, me everything did just rush after that. But yeah, after I filled out the form, the earliest date they had was December 9th, so I selected that date. Then when I went back, I saw earlier date, so I chose an earlier date. So I did my interview on the 2nd. Now my visa interview, as I said, it was in Kingston, Jamaica at the embassy. It was like, do I have the time? My interview was, yeah, December 2nd at 8 a.m. I think when I had December 9th, it was like 7:30 or or 7 o'clock, that which was way too early for me. Anyways, I got to the embassy pretty early. It was really full. A lot of people were there. um when I got there, I was early, so they had to send me over the other side to like stand and wait until it was our turn. So it was a lot of people. You went over, you go through the process, they check off your documents, ensure that you have everything, and then they place one of your passport size pictures on your DS confirmation page, and then you just follow the regular procedure. You go in, join the line, sit down and wait until your turn. Now, this is like my second time going to the embassy for an interview, but like it's just like nerve-wracking, and then it just gets scary when you go into the embassy because you can hear everybody's conversation, and you get to see people who get through and who not get through, and you just say, Lord, may I get through? Want to go to that person here? It's just crazy. But my interview was actually good. I went in, they asked me, she was like, oh, I see you're going to be doing a master's in financial mathematics or something like that. So I was like, no, I was going to study for a master's of finance. They also, and she's like, oh, better you than me. And then I said, huh? Like, your friend them always say better you than me. So when she said that to me in the interview, I'm like, okay, she seems nice. I'm never did worry too much. She asked me how I would be paying for school. No, I think she said, will your relatives be paying for school? So it's like, no, my tuition will be paid by me, scholarships and whatever. No, this is a tricky way to ask the question, and they want to see if you're going to agree. And she was asking me would I be living on campus or not. And them already know some I'm going to live with relatives. So why them ask me that? So I had to be honest, yes, I was going to live with relatives off campus. Because they have all the information. They just want to see if what you put on your DS160 is matching up to what you're saying in the interview and stuff. And she asked me that, and then I think the last question that she asked me was really about my filing, and I did answer, because they always bring it up. They bring it up in my other interview and they bring it up in this one, but as I said, you have to be honest with them, you have to be accurate, and so that's exactly what I did. And pretty much they decided to give me the visa, so I got the green light to move to the US as an international student. And if you got your visa, you'll get this white paper. So yeah, so that's pretty much how my visa interview went. It wasn't really long, and they never really asked me a lot of tricky questions, but I mean, I had prepared long, and I I did research about my school, ensured I knew stuff about my school. If they asked me, I knew stuff that tied into what I was going to say, like planning to come back to Jamaica. So it will all be different. I actually had some questions from what my friend shared what hers went like, but they'll ask you different questions, so just be prepared for your interview. Know about your school, know about your program, and be honest at all times. Be honest when you're filling out your DS160, and also be honest in your interview. And if you're honest, everything will go fine. So yeah, this is really the process of applying to the schools, showing your proof of fund, your interview. So if you guys enjoy this series and you want to see more, please comment below, like, share, subscribe. I think I'll do one more in this series, like my process of actually packing and leaving for Jamaica, what I decided to take, what did I leave, and just the whole process of migration, because it's actually not easy. And as I said, I had like 3 weeks or less to tell. I was just like all over the place. I was planning to travel for Christmas, and then I like, oh, like it was like all over the place. I never know, okay, am I going to still travel for Christmas, or I have to like be waiting until I hear back from everything to decide what I was going to do? So it's just like, I don't know. I had to wait long to book my ticket. It was just all over the place, but in the end it all worked out. I came up for Christmas, and then after I flew from Houston. If you guys saw my Christmas vlog, that exactly when I migrated. I flew from Houston, and then yeah, so I spent Christmas in Houston. So, and it was just so scary the entire process. I'm like, wow, this was my first time traveling and actually going to buy like a one-way ticket. Can I actually do this? Is this actually possible? Like, yeah. But yeah, this was really the process for the DS160 and applying for my visa. What my visa interview was like in Kingston. And yep, that's pretty much it. If you guys have specific questions, please remember, link them in the comments below and I'll be free to answer. Subscribe, share with your friends, family, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out, some fam.